when you put something so in the forefront of your life, some desire in the forefront of your life, that everything else starts to suffer. I understand that. I understand that because I've gone that way and had to pull myself back or whatever. But it's the yearning that is can be something very positive, can create wonderful things. But when it makes you negate your life and the people in your life, it becomes or again, like when it makes you bear false witness, and sell somebody out. It's just not worth having. That yearning is the tough part. The yearning to kind of have that, but not make it completely consume you. Well, I had written the check 4 years before, and up on Mulholland Drive, in a special place that I have that I kind of look out over there, and I do visualizations, and I still do it sometimes for different reasons.
Go up to Mulholland Drive and look out over the city and visualize.
And, I used to open my arms. I used to sit up there, and open my arms and imagine a giant funnel of gifts
would come right in
from the universe.
Yes.
Honest to God, you could cut to me there. I'm like this, and if nothing else, it made me feel more positive about where I was. I drove down from Mulholland Drive every night, that I went up there, feeling that I was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. I was doing wonderful work that made people happy. I owned all that. That was it. I guess, what I own when you think about it is my faith. I've seen mountains move in my life, so I've had just endless gifts, and they've all been things that I have at some point sat and made myself believe were possible. These scripts find me, they really do at certain times in my life, and for me that was about. And a lot of the characters I've done so far have been about duality, about what you show the world and what you really are. And so I've always been trying to reconcile the two. I'm fascinated by what creates characters. What defines people? What creates them? What puts them together? Everybody's Frankenstein, and they just as life goes on, you either lose pieces of yourself, gain other pieces, and that's the fascinating thing about acting. Who knows? Maybe it's fate, or maybe it's that. Maybe it's just that I believed, I always believed. And whatever form it took would be okay. Yeah. Because I was fully, prepared to just play out, stand-up comedy in comedy clubs. And
but there's something within you that constantly pushed the edges of the envelope, wherever you were.
Well, or at least took advantage of the opportunities that came around. And a lot of it has to do with, just the courage to jump in. I mean, to do films that are out of your so-called power alley, as they call it, it takes nerve, so I have the nerve, we'll see if I have the goods, but I have the nerve. I'm just excited, really, about always changing, about crossing back and forth across the river and throwing the hounds off the trail. I love that. And if I feel like I've been figured out, boy, look out, I will become something completely different, Maybe I might not want to become something completely different, but express something completely different. I always felt like if the world is going crazy, I'll be calm. And if they're calm, I'll be the one hanging off the chandelier. I mean, I don't want to be presumptuous, but the meaning of life? You want to know what it is? Love yourself. That's it. Love yourself. That's what I think it is. Just love yourself. And be visible, no matter what the risk. Be honest. And that's what we're doing. We're being visible tonight. And it's a risky thing. Sometimes it's not considered cool to be out there and to be open. Fuck them. I want to be seen while I live here. I want to be seen. I want to get to that place. And you can do all the rest of it anyway. I really think, I was talking to Eric backstage, and I said, I've had this thought about your teachings. You often talk about
not having the answers, and Buddha not having the answers, but pointing to the answers. And I realized just recently, what I do and what comedians do a lot is they point away from the answers. In the opposite direction of the answers, they behave incorrectly. And in doing so, they become the contrast to what you really want, And so I'm really happy with that role. I'll be the contrast for you guys.
I ran into a lot of criticism, and people are going, stay in the yard, be the comedian, da-da-da-da, like that. Why is he trying to do that? Oh, they're all trying to do that kind of thing. And I believe in that side of myself, absolutely. So I am willing to lose everything to express that side of myself. I'm willing to give it all up.
He draws his strength now from the spiritual side of his life. And despite a rare Los Angeles downpour, he insisted on taking us to his secret spot, where he goes to shut out the rest of the world.
You want to come? Come on. It's fun. This is beautiful.
After a 5-minute climb up a trail on his property, we finally reach our destination.
This is my spot. This is the center of the universe. This is where I hang out with Buddha and Krishna and, all those guys.
Are you a
Jesus.
Buddhist?
I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm whatever you want me to be. It all comes down to the same thing. You're in a loving place or you're in an unloving place. If you're with me right now, we cannot be unhappy. It's not possible. It's not possible. Just try.
His faith is personal and mystical. He believes that miracles will come true if you just believe in them, and he has his life and his career to prove it. But he does think that people who express strong feelings about spirituality run the risk of being labeled a kook.
What the hell? What the hell? Whatever. I just want to be myself. If I lose a few fringe people who can't deal with the fact that there's other forces in the world, that's okay with me.
I feel like the point of my life was not to get success now. It was to get success so that I could let go of success and realize that there's still something beautiful here. It's not a person necessarily, but an everything. And I think that's been the process. It's been a process of piling things on and accomplishing things and scoring and scoring and scoring and getting lauded for certain things, only to realize that's not going to make you happy. It doesn't ultimately satisfy you, no matter what you achieve. And at some point you have to let go of it, even if you still do it, which I intend to do. I intend to continue down the path of creativity. The creativity is just going to happen. It doesn't belong to me. It's just going to be happening. And it's happening more so now than ever in my life, with painting and sculpting and writing and producing and starring in things. Yeah, I think it's, I'm in the process of letting it all go. I'm not hanging on to anything, including me, and I'm totally great with that. Movies can still happen.
I know that it's kind of an odd thing to consider. It shouldn't be, but it's a very strange concept to most people, and especially to people that have suffered trauma and have trust issues or whatever, to trust that they can close their eyes for a moment or a couple of moments during the day and let go of the show that's going on in their heads. We are so trapped, all of us, especially those who have suffered terrible trauma, to think of that as a real thing. And there is a difference between real danger and imagined danger, and it's hard to turn that off. And meditation, for me, and for a lot of people, has been a way to turn that off, you know, and or recognize that those thoughts are just thoughts. And like clouds that cross the sky, they will pass on. And to gently pull yourself back to a place of peace. And just to stop the spiral of thought, man. We get up in the morning and we open our eyes and the show begins, you know, and it's a thriller for some people. And you can't help but get caught up in it. And it's important a couple of times during the day to stop and go, wait, this is just as real as those thoughts. I am bigger than these thoughts. I am bigger than this body.
There's so much good in the world. I always say to everybody, I'm amazed when people go like, the world is insane, man. It's crazy. It's out of control. It's like people are completely nuts. Like that. Seriously, we live on a planet where we're very crammed together, and I think we do really well. It's just that when we watch the news and we watch entertainment, it's about people's conflicts tied together in the most exciting possible way. And you imagine that the world is this explosive, horrifying place, and the news is all this negativity condensed, you know, and it really is not representative of what the world is or what the world wants.
There's been a series of kind of awakenings I've had in my life, and you know, people chalk it up to depression and all that stuff. I think that, you know, grief and sadness and all those things are the ticket home to nothing. I think that was a part of the process. There's been several other awakenings, and yet still I have a lot of egoic attachments that pull my attention and focus. It's what's happening right now inside everybody is they're going, who am I? And they're depressed, you know, a lot of people, because they're trying to hold up an image in the world. And that's what depression is. You know, people go like, oh, Jim's been depressed and stuff. Well, yeah, I was depressed when I was trying to be the Wizard of Oz instead of the sweaty guy behind the curtain. But now I know that Oz is a character, you know, and you know, I think everybody deals with that. Everybody walks around and they go like, why am I depressed? Well, it's because you're trying to be something for the world, you know, and as soon as you let that go, better things happen because they're just happening, but it's not, you know, now it's just sadness. You know, sadness comes, happiness comes, it's the weather that flies by the sky. It doesn't sit on you long enough to drown you, you know.
As an actor, you play characters, and then if you go deep enough into those characters, you realize that your own character is pretty thin to begin with, you know? And then you suddenly have this separation and go, well, who's Jim Keri? Oh, he doesn't exist, actually. There's just a relative manifestation of consciousness appearing, and then somebody gave him a bunch of ideas. They gave him a name and a religion and a nationality, and he clustered those together into something that's supposed to be a personality. And it doesn't actually exist. And none of that stuff, if you drill down, is real.
Is it fair to say that it pushed you into some kind of existential crisis?
Fugue state?
Well, I mean, it's kind of what you're saying.
It wasn't a crisis, it's an existential experiment, but that's been my life, you know. I believe that I got famous so that I could let go of fame, you know, and it's still happening, but not with me. I'm not a part of it anymore. Dressing happens, doing hair happens, interviewing happens, and it happens without me.
without the idea of a me. There's just what's happening, and it's not personal. So, like, the difference between money and my money is a gigantic chasm, you know? So that's how it feels. It feels like, you know, things are happening, you know, and they're going to happen whether I attach myself as an ego to it or not. You know, there's grooves that are cut pretty deep, you know, from my entire life. There's still an energy that wants to be admired and wants to be clever, and there's still an energy that wants to free people from concern, and now it goes further. I want to, you know, kind of relate what this is to people so that maybe they can also kind of glimpse the abyss of. It sounds scary, but it's not. There's gratitude, and there's wonder, and there's excitement, and all of it is happening and rising out of nowhere and happening for no one.
That's wonderful.
But how do we market it?